On Christmas morning, while most Americans gathered with loved ones, exchanging gifts and enjoying the warmth of their homes, a sense of normalcy filled the air. The country was wrapped in the spirit of the holidays, with twinkling lights and laughter echoing through neighborhoods. Yet, far from the festivities, a group of senior Republican leaders quietly slipped away from the public eye, boarding early morning flights bound for Ottawa, Canada. Their departure was discreet, almost secretive, as if they were on a mission that couldn't wait for the holiday to pass. The move sent shockwaves through Washington's political circles, especially to former President Trump. He was blindsided, viewing this sudden journey as a direct affront to his authority and a bold rejection of his signature America First trade philosophy. The news broke just as he was preparing his own holiday message, leaving him and his allies scrambling for answers. These weren't just any lawmakers. Among them were influential senators and House leaders, the very architects of the nation's trade policy. Their presence signaled that this was no fringe rebellion, but a coordinated effort from the party's core leadership. Their mission was clear: urgent diplomatic damage control. By meeting with Canadian officials, they aimed to ease tensions and signal a possible shift away from the party's hardline America First stance, at least on trade. The timing, Christmas Day, was no accident. It underscored the gravity of the crisis, showing just how dire the situation had become. Even on a day of national rest, the urgency could not be ignored. Years of escalating tariffs, especially those targeting the auto industry, had finally reached a breaking point. Factories were slowing production, and the ripple effects were being felt across the economy. American workers and small business owners were feeling the squeeze. Layoffs, shrinking profits, and growing protests outside auto plants made it clear that the political calculus was shifting rapidly. The pressure on lawmakers to act had never been greater. This trip wasn't just another diplomatic meeting, it was a public admission that the economic fallout from trade wars could no longer be swept under the rug. The world was watching, and so were anxious voters back home. The GOP's future, and its unity, now hung in the balance. The decisions made in Ottawa could reshape not only the party's direction, but the nation's economic future for years to come. Was this trip an apology for years of trade aggression, or a calculated pivot to a new political reality? The answer, as with most things in politics, is likely both. On the surface, it's a gesture of reconciliation, a chance to mend fences after a period of escalating tariffs and tense rhetoric. But beneath the handshakes and photo ops, there's a deeper strategy at play. Many delegates on this trip represent states that have been battered by Canadian tariffs and the resulting economic fallout. Their communities have seen factories shuttered, jobs lost, and local economies thrown into uncertainty. For these politicians, the pressure is personal. Voters back home are demanding relief, and patience is running thin. For these lawmakers, this trip is about political survival. They need to show their constituents that they're taking action, even if it means challenging their own party's long-held positions. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is slim. At the same time, this journey marks a strategic shift. The old rhetoric of economic nationalism is now clashing with the harsh realities of a globalized economy. The numbers don't lie, trade wars have consequences, and the pain is being felt in real communities. GOP leaders are now testing a new message, one that emphasizes pragmatism, bipartisanship, and real-world problem-solving over ideological purity. They're signaling to voters and business leaders alike that they're willing to adapt. As one senior aide put it, tariffs aren't a magic wand. Our plants are laying off and businesses can't get parts. This is about survival, not just politics. The urgency is palpable, and the consequences of inaction are clear. In many ways, this trip is a tacit admission that the old strategy has failed. The party is being forced to confront uncomfortable truths and rethink its approach. Now, the GOP is signaling a move away from isolationism, hoping to appeal to moderates, business leaders, and voters who crave stability and growth. They're betting that a new tone and new policies can win back trust. Whether this political pivot will succeed depends on the outcome of the Ottawa talks, and just as importantly, on how voters respond to a party in transition. The next election could hinge on these choices. The stakes couldn't be higher. For the GOP, for American workers, and for the future of cross-border relations, everything is on the line. The core of the crisis? Auto tariffs. The Trump-era logic was simple: tax foreign cars and parts, boost American jobs. But the North American auto industry is deeply integrated. Parts cross borders multiple times. Tariffs ended up hurting American companies, raising costs, and triggering Canadian retaliation. The result? Higher prices, disrupted supply chains, and a cycle of economic hostility. As global competitors surged ahead, North American automakers lost ground. GOP leaders now see tariffs as a strategic blunder, one that weakened the very industry they aim to protect. The need for a new approach is urgent. Beyond policy debates and political headlines, the human cost of these economic shifts is truly staggering. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's real people, real families, and real communities caught in the crossfire. In the heart of the Midwest, auto workers are facing a harsh new reality. Layoffs are becoming more common, shifts are being cut, and the anxiety about the future is growing with each passing day. For many, the sense of security that once came with these jobs is slipping away. One Ohio worker described the slow unraveling of his livelihood. First, overtime hours disappeared, then entire shifts were reduced, and finally, the dreaded pink slip arrived. It's a story echoed in countless households, where uncertainty has become the new normal. These stories are everywhere. Tariffs and trade policies, intended to protect American jobs, have instead led to factory closures and widespread job losses, leaving entire towns reeling from the fallout. Consumers aren't spared from the consequences either. Car prices have soared, making new vehicles unaffordable for many families. The dream of owning a reliable car is slipping out of reach for countless Americans. The ripple effect is devastating. Dealerships are seeing fewer customers, repair shops are closing their doors, and small-town main streets are dotted with empty storefronts. Local economies that once thrived on manufacturing are now struggling to survive. Lawmakers are feeling the heat from their constituents, who are angry and frustrated by broken promises. Town hall meetings have become battlegrounds, with citizens demanding answers and real solutions. The recent trip to Ottawa by American politicians is a direct response to this growing outcry. It's a clear sign that the economic pain has reached a boiling point, turning a trade dispute into a full-blown political crisis. What was once an abstract trade war has now become a daily struggle for American families. Every bill, every grocery trip, every tough conversation at the dinner table is a reminder of the mounting pressure. The cost of these policies is simply too high to ignore. Families are facing foreclosure, savings are being drained, and hope is fading in communities across the country. Now, more than ever, change isn't just an option. It's a political necessity. The future of American workers and their families depends on it. Just as the tariff war peaked, a new front opened, the race for electric vehicles. U.S. policies now favor American-made EVs, with strict rules on domestic content for tax credits. Canada sees this as a threat, fearing exclusion from a market they helped build. The new rules risk dismantling decades of cross-border cooperation. GOP leaders know their states need EV investment, but antagonizing Canada could backfire. Canada supplies critical minerals for EV batteries. A trade war could jeopardize access. The delegation's challenge: reassure Canada and negotiate a shared future in the EV era. The conversation is no longer just about tariffs, it's about who will lead the next generation of auto manufacturing. The stakes are continental. To grasp the crisis, picture a map of North America once defined by seamless trade. Now red lines, tariffs and barriers block the flow of goods. Auto parts, timber, dairy all face new obstacles. The result is friction, higher costs, and lost competitiveness. Canada, once America's closest partner, is now seeking new trade deals elsewhere. Every new agreement Canada signs is a lost opportunity for U.S. businesses. The GOP delegation sees this fractured map and knows the damage is real. Their mission: erase some of those red lines and restore trust before the split becomes permanent. The future of the partnership is at stake. This Christmas Day mission marks a turning point for the GOP and North America. One path doubled down on protectionism, risking isolation and long-term decline. The other, reconciliation, rebuilding trust, and modernizing the U.S.-Canada partnership for a new era. For businesses, a resolution means stability and growth, especially in the auto and EV sectors. For workers, it could end the anxiety of layoffs and rising costs. The outcome is uncertain. The delegation's gamble could reshape the party and the continent's future. The world is watching to see if the GOP can forge a new consensus. The status quo is no longer sustainable. The next steps will define not just political careers, but the economic destiny of millions. The stakes have never been higher.